Hi, everyone. This is Cami from the School of Engineering at USC. It's 9 o'clock here in Los Angeles, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We have Professor Lucio Soibelman here with us today, as well as Christine Shea from our Sunny Astani Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering. So thank you all for being here today and attending to learn more about graduate opportunities in civil and environmental engineering. And we're very thankful to have Professor Soibelman here to spend some time to kind of talk a little bit about some of the aspects of this exciting discipline and some of the new developments in this area. So before I turn it over to Professor Soibelman, I'll just kind of give you a kind of a brief introduction, if you don't mind. So hopefully all of you can see my slides here. And if you can just turn your attention to that, and we'll have ample time for any questions that you may have. So please have your questions ready for the professor. And I'll go ahead and get started here. So give me one second. Okay, so a little bit about the University of Southern California. I know many of you may already know a little bit about the university, but USC is located in Los Angeles. We're right in the heart of downtown Los Angeles. We're one of the world's leading private research universities, and incidentally, one of the oldest private research university on the West Coast of the United States. So the university was founded in 1880. In addition to engineering, in total, we have 23 academic schools and divisions. And the nice thing about that is that the Viterbi School of Engineering is a very big advocate of interdisciplinary education. So we really do encourage you to not only get a strong engineering education, but also to explore how engineering really cuts across many other disciplines. So we have a lot of collaborations with our School of Business and Public Policy and Cinema and many of the other disciplines on the USC campus. One of the great things about the university is our very diverse student population. We have students from over 110 countries worldwide and that attend USC. And that's kind of one of the things that really enhance your educational experience here. And 437,000 alumni worldwide. And a little bit about Los Angeles, for those of you who have not been here or don't live here, one of the nice things about Los Angeles and one of the main attractors for many people to come and visit here and study here just is one of the main things is the agreeable climate that we have. And we kind of joke about the fact that we have about 292 sunny days out of the year. Today is not an exception, which is nice. And so it really attracts students from many other places because not only do you kind of get a really exceptional academic experience, but you're also really able to explore things socially and culturally as well. Los Angeles is also considered a global center for the arts and technology and international business. And our proximity in Los Angeles is nice because it's kind of close to home to Silicon Beach, which is one of the top startup ecosystems in the world, and very close proximity to Silicon Valley, which is about an hour's flight north of here, and our biotechnology hub, which is in San Diego. And one thing that many people don't know about Los Angeles is we hire more engineering graduates than any other city in the country. Okay, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the School of Engineering, and I'll turn it over to Professor Soibelman. Okay, so the Viterbi School is one of the oldest schools on the USC campus. USC Engineering began in 1905, and incidentally, it was founded with the Civil and Environmental Engineering Department. Today, in the Viterbi School of Engineering, there are 2,700 undergraduate students pursuing their bachelor's degree, and about 6,200 graduate students, which is a combination of master's and PhD. In addition to civil and environmental engineering, we have 7 other academic departments and over 70 master's programs and 13 PhD programs. And then the School of Engineering is ranked number 12 by US News and World Report. And then you'll see also, and then perhaps Professor Soibelman can kind of talk about some of our research centers in this area, but we have in the school 45 research centers and a leader in funded research. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn it over to Professor Soibelman. I'll stop sharing right now. Hi, Professor.
Hello everyone. Good morning here, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. So I'm going to share my, okay, I cannot share my screen. Can you make me a co-host?
I'll do that right now.
And then Dr. Soivelman, since Cami covered the first few slides in our deck, you could probably start with slide 4, if that helps.
Yeah.
Or do whatever you got to do. You're the boss.
Okay, so you made Christine co-host, not me co-host.
Sorry, Professor, I should probably put my glasses on. There you go.
Now I'm a co-host. Okay. So let me start. Okay, so yeah, I would start with you with School of Engineering and everything. So let me go to the department. We are a very interesting department. We have around 500 students. We have around 64 faculty, 25 tenure track. We have a lot of full-time teaching faculty. But we have something interesting for the masters because, as Cami said, we are next to downtown LA. We have a lot of professional from top companies, engineering companies, supporting as an adjunct and part-time teaching faculty, bringing a very interesting mix of academia and research and with practical experience. So we have several master's programs. We have a more generic one in civil engineering. We have a very novel one in advanced design and construction, looking at AI, robotics, and advanced design. That it's really a novel program. And then we have the construction engineering that's more traditional, structural engineering, transportation engineering, transportation system, water and waste management, construction management, environmental engineering, and transportation management, and including a certificate program transportation systems. And the PhD, it's a typical PhD taken from 4 to 5 years. It's very flexible, where the student and the advisor define the curriculum and the classes needed to allow the student to deliver the high quality research and bringing the knowledge needed to solve the problems that are trying to solve. We have a lot of support from the School of Engineering, a lot of activities that the graduate students participate. We have a very, very strong career center that support our students and with connection with industry. But again, as I said, because you have so many part-time lecturers participating in the program, this interaction with industry happens not just through career, but through the whole experience that the students have at the department. You are being employed by more than 190 different organizations employ our students. They have every type of popular titles, job titles, and in the PhD program, the large majority of our students end up in academia. So this is about Viterbi, but it's very related to our department too, because you're always looking to attract talent, and this goes from faculty to students and to staff. We are always looking to add value, and you focus in grand challenges, and I'm going to explain this a little bit later. And we're really here to support the economic growth, both locally and globally. So this Cami already said, this is the really vision for engineering at USC. Is we strongly believe that engineering is at the center of everything that's happening today. You don't have development in medicine today without looking at bioengineering, by looking at electrical and computer science with CT scans, and every equipment used today in medicine has engineering development. And the same thing it's happening with arts, with School of Cinema, gaming, and everything that happens at USC, it's in that interface. We in the environmental area are very interested and interacted with the natural sciences. And if you think even with the social sciences, one of the strengths of the department in research, it's human building interaction, trying to understand how smart buildings affect people that live on buildings. So you are really looking, you're using the whole university strengths, not just in engineering, to be able to develop the most advanced possible and cool research that exists today. So what about the department? So the department, when you think about the master's program, we have all the traditional silos: transportation, structures, construction, and the environmental side, we have water, air. But when you look at the research and the PhD direction, you're really looking, not organizing ourselves through the silos, traditional silos, but you focus on the problems that you want to solve. So our strengths are in sustainability, and a lot of work both in the environmental side, from water quality and air pollution, but in the civil side, in green buildings and water energy nexus, water distribution systems, looking at the sustainability of all those systems, even transportation. We have a lot of interested in water quality and distribution. This is a problem in California, and this is very related to our idea of being relevant local. Another area that you're very strong is disasters and extreme events. So we have a lot of work both in structural engineering, health monitoring, but again in understanding the economic impact of extreme events, and looking at transportation reliability. So you have people with the expertise in the silos, but we are focusing on solving the problems in a more cross-disciplinary way. And final, it's the couple of complex systems that it's a very area that you're very strong, exactly because we don't focus on the silos, but in the interface of those knowledge silos that you have in civil engineering. What do we mean by that? By working silos, you have the transportation guys designing and optimizing the transportation network. You have the water distribution people optimizing the water distribution network like they were independent, but they are not. When you have a water main break, you flood the highway and both systems collapse at the same time. So everything is coupled, but because we got so specialized and you work inside the silos, we don't understand those interfaces. And the department, by focusing on problems, is capable of really doing research in very cool areas that very few people are, not few people are doing, but they have more difficulties in excelling in those areas, exactly because of participation in one of the silos. Placement that you have, people going, this is more the PhD people, students hired as faculty, last few years, faculty, Virginia Tech, UC Davis, Tsinghua, Texas A&M, a lot of people getting postdocs in Stanford, Berkeley, and a lot of people getting work in companies and every type of companies. So I'm going to stop now. I now have profiles of professors, but I think that the most important thing now is to give you time to ask questions and to see if I can help you to better understand the strengths of our department and how we would be here to help and answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor. So we'll go ahead and give everyone a chance to enter your question in the Q&A panel. So please go ahead and do that. And in the meantime, Professor, we do have a couple of questions while everyone's thinking of their own and entering those into the Q&A. So I have a couple of them that people have submitted ahead of time. So if I can ask you, there is one question. What can one expect if admitted to the PhD program? So what does kind of the duration of the program look like? What is the first year entail?
I can answer these, and Christine can answer this. Here, PhD students, they are admitted to work with a professor. So basically, the student arrives with a focus in an area, many times funded by the professor with grants that the professor has. So it's very targeted into work in an area, and then the professor and the students together decide and find out what are the topics that are needed to be able to solve the problem that they're focusing, and then defining the curriculum. But the process, it's very straightforward. The students arrive, take classes, start doing research. After the 1 year semester, they take what's called the screening exam. That is an exam that tries to look not at the knowledge of the student, but the capability of the students to be a critical thinker. And then the students continue working, and then around in the second year, third year, the student defends has another exam that's called the qualifier. This is basically the moment that the student defends the PhD thesis proposal, and then continue working, and then the fourth, fifth year, the student is expected to defend the thesis. So it's a very straightforward process that's not different from other institutions.
Great, thank you so much. You know what I'll do, if we all don't mind, if I can just take about 3 minutes. I know that there are some questions about application criteria and deadlines, and so maybe I can kind of switch really quickly and share my screen and then show a few tips on that, and then we'll be able to switch back to answering questions. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, so let me do this because I know a few of you have some questions about the programs and the application criteria, and it does look like there's a mix between master's and PhD. So the master's programs are designed to enhance your expertise in a certain discipline. So as Professor Sobelman pointed out, there are a number of areas, a number of master's programs where you can go. You can take a general Master of Science in Civil Engineering, and there are a number of specializations there. Most of our students apply their education to working in industry. The program takes about 1.5 to 2 years to complete, and it is a course-based program. So there is not a research requirement for our master's programs. Okay, and then Professor Soibelman went through that. The application requirements are here. So you would need to have a Bachelor of Science degree in engineering, math, or one of the hard sciences. And I do see that there are some students with a variety of backgrounds here, you know, some with chemistry, physics. So definitely you are welcome to apply to these programs if you have kind of a different a hard science background. There's an online application, and then the $90 application fee. And then just so you're aware, if for those of you that might be thinking about a PhD program and a master's program, you can actually apply to both. And then USC will not ask you to pay the second application fee. So within the School of Engineering, you can apply for 2 programs with the 1 application fee. And then you can submit your official transcripts into the application. A resume or CV and a personal statement is also required. And then 2 letters of recommendation are also required. If you are an international student, the TOEFL or the IELTS is also going to be a requirement of your application. And the one thing that's an update for this year is that the GRE exam is not required for the application for this coming application cycle. Okay. Okay, so a little bit about the PhD program. Professor Soibelman kind of went over that, but the application criteria is relatively similar to the master's program, with the exception of those supplemental materials. So the personal statement is something you should really spend some time on, and making sure you outline what your research interests are, what professors in the department that you might be interested in working with, and why your research areas intersect with those professors. The 3 letters of recommendation should come from academic references, primarily, perhaps if if there's one from somebody who supervised you in an internship, that's okay too, but primarily they should be academic references. And then you need to be able to demonstrate that you have research experience and ability. Okay, and these are the application deadlines that I think some of you were asking about. So for master's programs, we accept students for both the fall and the spring semesters. I do highly encourage you to apply by that listed scholarship deadline. The next one would be December the 15th, and our final deadline is January the 15th. We do have some merit-based scholarships that we have available for students who apply by that scholarship deadline. So please be sure to kind of try to get your application in by then. Okay, so that's kind of that. And then I'll switch back over. I'll stop sharing. And then we'll switch back over if we want to go through some of the questions.